Let me now talk to you about the demand environment, and things are beginning to pick up. It's reflected in the sales that the company has posted. There's a lot of excitement on the new models, the Ciaz being the first one, which we are going to see in the market around the festive season. And there's a lot of buzz around what you intend to do with the LCV market as well. Do you believe that there is a fear that you may be spreading yourself to, say, in LCVs, SUVs? You know, you are, of course, the small car specialist. That's where your bulk of money comes in from.
SUV is very much a part of the car segment. So that's a natural course of development.
Except that you've had a disastrous launch, relaunch in that segment with the Vitara.
No, sorry, we've never been in the SUV segment.
Why, the Vitara is an SUV?
That's an imported, 100% imported SUV at a price the same way of all these Honda CR-Vs and how many do they sell? But the big domestic market for SUVs, it's over 500,000 today, constitutes about 21% of the car market. So we are number one player in India. Can we afford not to be in 21% of the market and leave it to anybody who wants to get into the market, and people are getting into it, whether it's the domestic players apart, you have the foreign players all getting into it. So what's special about Hyundai or a Ford or a GM that they should get into the SUV market and we shouldn't?
So how soon are we actually going to see the Maruti SUVs localized, priced for the Indian market out in the market?
The first SUV we will see in the first half of next year.
First half of next year. And what kind of pricing are you looking at?
It will be in the same segment as the Duster. So it has to be priced competitively with the Duster.
What kind of margins will you enjoy on those products?
I don't know at this point. Our second SUV will happen 1 year after that, which will be the compact SUV. And that being in the same segment as the Ford Mobilio and things, will have to be priced competitively that way. So, you know, pricing has to be competitive.
Let me ask you about the LCV plans and how soon we're actually going to see you put that out into the market as well, and what the strategy is going to be there.
See, the LCV is due again next year, early next year. First half, let's say, next year. But our marketing strategy, they're still being evolved. I don't think we are going to launch the SUV across the country in one go. I think we are going to go a little bit gradually in spreading its coverage, because it's a product and a segment which we have never entered before. The sale of light commercial vehicles is to a different class of customer. It requires the sales and service organization to have a different mindset. And we need to learn that. So we don't think we should, in that area, spread ourselves too thin by trying to cover all parts of India in one go.
So you will set up specific dealerships?
So we will go slowly and keep acquiring knowledge and skills on how to sell this product and ensure that when we give the product to a customer, he remains a happy customer after that. So it'll take a little time to cover all of India. It's not something we are going to rush into.
But again, what is the strategy as far as these new segments are concerned, these new markets are concerned, in terms of profitability?
The SUV
market share I understand, but in terms of profitability,
we never do a product knowingly, at least, which is not profitable. And the SUV will conform to our minimum standards of profitability. We will always look for that. And as I say, it's not something which the Gypsy was also, in a sense, an SUV segment, but it had a very limited market, four-wheel drive, it was petrol. The problem in India is that the SUV segment is largely, in fact, I think totally diesel. We couldn't enter this segment earlier because we didn't have diesel options. So the reason we have delayed entry into the SUV is not that we didn't recognize that this is a sector we should be in. Suzuki is in the SUV sector world over, but they couldn't succeed in India because of the fuel issues. But now that the diesel issue has been sorted out and we have a diesel option, so we are entering the SUV.
Do you see
the only new segment is that LCV.
LCV, on the LCV, again, because, you know, it's already a business where a lot of the entrenched players are in the market, so you're not going to be the first mover in that sense. What kind of profitability can you expect there?
We think that, again, the same question of getting the minimum return on our investment. We wouldn't enter a segment if we didn't think we could make a profit. So we will aim to get the kind of profit we are getting on other products. But as I said, we'll go slowly in this segment. So it may take a little time to get to the full profit levels. But we don't see any reason why, once we have fully got the hang of this business, the SUV segment should not be as profitable as the car segment.
Okay. You know, diesel, and you talked about that, we're now actually seeing a trend reversal where manufacturers were falling over each other to try and get their diesel capacities up and running. Now, because, you know, the government is probably moving towards complete diesel deregulation, there seems to be a move to now review their diesel plans. What is the thinking within Maruti about diesel?
No, our diesel is much below the market share of diesel. You know, the Indian market still is about 50% diesel. It's come down, but still about 50%. Whether it's going to come down much lower, I'm not sure. But maybe it'll come down to 45% with this just about 10 rupee gap between petrol and diesel. Our diesel sales are only about 28-29% of our total sales. So it's not that we are very big diesel players. And I don't think our diesel strategy will want to go very much higher, except that, you know, the LCVs, if you include later on, will go up a little bit. The SUVs will do the same, because despite this narrow price difference, Indian customers are not switching to petrol SUVs for some reason. I'm not sure why they prefer diesel SUVs now when the price gap is so little. But they are. But if there's a change, then we have a petrol option also in the SUVs. So our SUVs will have both petrol and diesel options, and we'll be able to adjust depending on how the market behaves.
So given the kind of sentiment change that you're seeing in the market, given the fact that you are going to be launching new products starting with the Ciaz, which is this year, and of course early next year, the SUV and the LCV launch, what kind of volume expectations do you have? 15% plus?
This year?
FY15?
FY15, so far we have done 16%. But I don't know if this can be maintained for the whole year. At least today I won't promise you or say with any kind of assurance they'll get to 15%. I would still like to keep a lower figure for the market. If we do better, which usually we like to keep a figure which we are sure we will do. So I think that certainly double digits. But how much into the double digits, I wouldn't like to predict there. We have to still see.
So you're not really seeing that much of a turnaround as far as the mood is concerned and the economy is concerned?
The industry hasn't moved up all that much. If you look at, actually if I exclude the Maruti growth from the rest of the growth, the industry has not grown. There's, in fact, I think there's still a slight degrowth. So it's not as if everything has changed and the sentiment...
You're out of the woods yet.
We are not out of the woods. That's why I hesitate to make a firm prediction that now we are out and this growth of 15-16% will continue. I would hesitate to make that. The SUV impact will only be in the next financial year. It's not this year. The shares, yes, it's going to come, but it's not a segment which is very high volume anyway. So that's not going to make too much difference on the growth. The LCV is also not this year. So there is really nothing of any significance which will make a big difference to the volumes this year.
What about next year?
Next year could be different. Because I do believe that the SU will make a difference next year. And we have some other things coming up next year. Obviously, I can't speak about them.
How many launches next year?
Oh, I'm not sure, but usually we do what, 3-4 launches a year now. But also by next year, I think the impact of many of the policies of this government will come through.
So you believe 15% plus is FY16?
Next year, 15% could be feasible. Could be.
Okay.
But we have to see.
What about export growth? Do you believe that you are going to see a significant...
This year exports are actually doing better than what we had expected.
Yeah.
And some of these vehicles like the Swift has done very well, much better than what we had planned in the market. And today we are running Swift production at full capacity. And largely because of the export demand. And of course domestic. But export demand has gone up very high. So this year we will do better on exports. But the export market, Shereen, is always a very uncertain market. It has too much volatility. So I don't see high growth in the export market, because real sustained high growth can only be possible when Africa starts growing. Because the area where maximum potential exists is Africa. All the other parts of the world, if you look where Suzuki operates or we operate, are not areas of high growth. So we have limited opportunities for growth. But Africa growth means many, many years yet.
Mr. Bhargava, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18. With that, it's a wrap on the CNBC TV 18 special. We'll see you again next week. Till then, from the entire team, goodbye and many thanks for watching.